Breaking news. It's just been confirmed, and you'll see all the details in this video. Everything you need to know about US politics is here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Let's get to the news.
So I'm going to start out today with something that seems to be occupying the news cycle, which is, of course, the Venezuelan drugs airstrikes. Whether or not there was something nefarious about those strikes. First of all, it feels to me like they've been looking for trouble there from the beginning. I think the seditious six and their whole notion about illegal orders was tilting at the fact that, oh my God, how could anybody go after these drug boats legally is sort of the question, without the consent of Congress, or I don't even know what their issue is, but it's illegal as far as they're concerned. Dave, you're nodding your head.
Well, there's a couple things here. I mean, just first on the legal thing, I have a question for you, because I keep bringing up, to me, there's two parts of this. There's whatever the legal part might be, and I think we have to make a distinction between American law, which is real law. The president has to abide by the laws of the United States, the Constitution of the United States. And then everyone keeps talking about international law. But we are not bound by international law. The four of us are bound by the laws of the United States. The president is bound by the laws of the United States. Now, there are international agreements, but international law is not really a thing. And, you know, this has been seeping into a lot of conversations lately. Even Mamdani a couple of weeks ago, when he said, we're going to abide by international law and arrest Netanyahu if he comes to New York. It's like, to me, that's completely disqualifying to be mayor. You're saying you will abide by laws that somehow supersede the laws of the United States. So there's kind of like an American legal argument. Then there's, I think, a lot of confusion over the international law argument. But I think the broader point, and then I'll stop, is that I think this is just a standard 80-20 issue for Trump. People don't want fentanyl on our streets anymore. We've all seen the videos, and Drew, you're an expert at dealing with these people and trying to get them off, which is almost impossible. You know, the fentanyl fold, we have seen what has happened across blue cities. And to me, this is just such an easy win to watch the Democrats up there be like, oh, the boat blew up and maybe two other people were injured at first and then we killed them. Like, nobody cares about drug traffickers. I'm sorry. Like, we're just past that point. So to me, this is just an obvious win for Trump. And I think what you said about they kind of teased it with that commercial about don't follow his laws, and then this thing burst forth. That feels very kayfabe to me.
It feels very color revolutionary, frankly, like it's systematically being timed out. But let me just, for the record, it is not impossible to take people off fentanyl. It's actually something I'm quite good at. The impossibility is California has put laws in place that make it impossible to help these people. That's the impossibility. You're not allowed to go help them. People don't understand this. It's impossible to go help people. They must die on the streets. Thank you, California. Anyway, separate issue. I think the international law thing is they're trying to build a case for war crimes, right? And in a world where all the authority of the world is supposed to go into international bodies, it's just the oddest thing for them to put a bet on when people are so disdainful and so distrustful of this. But so they're still looking around. They're trying to find a way to hang this on Hegseth, as though it reminds me of the thing that, what is his name, that had to go into hiding forever, that he exposed that one video where they went after survivors of an attack. I think they're looking for a similar, Snowden. Snowden released a video, if you remember, of a helicopter attack where there were some survivors and they sort of went and strafed everybody. And that was considered illegal, against international law, et cetera, et cetera. They're looking to set this up as the same thing. They really are. And so Carolyn Levitt responded today, I'm going to show you this video, to a question about this specifically in the press pool.
Does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Abe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated. And I would just add one more point to remind the American public why these lethal strikes are taking place. Because this administration has designated these narco-terrorists as foreign terrorist organizations. The president has a right to take them out if they are threatening the United States of America and if they are bringing illegal narcotics that are killing our citizens at a record rate, which is what they are doing.
Pretty clear. I love Carolyn Levitt. She's great. She spells it out. It's a sort of an ironclad response. And who are these journalists to think they understand the rules of engagement? I mean, how do they know what was going on? Would they rather we send in a bunch of soldiers to get shot at and killed themselves? I mean, who are these people that take these journalists that take such privilege in determining how military should behave? It's really kind of disgusting. But I think she laid it out pretty clearly.
Yeah, I think, Drew, it's part of why the mainstream media, as we previously knew them, is dead, and why people like us have shows and so many independent people, because they're missing the point. The point is what? We're trying to save our country in many ways because of the infestation of drugs. And yes, I want to hear more, by the way, about the solution and how to help people get off fentanyl. But you live in California, it's a whole different thing, a whole different story. The other day, if the drugs weren't there in the first place, we wouldn't have this issue. So I'm one of those people that says, do whatever it takes to keep it off the street. And if that means you go in for a second airstrike, you do it, because the priority is the American citizens. And at the same time, one thing I think liberals do a terrible job of, wokesters in particular, is taking a step from your personal opinions and what is fair and what is right, not just based on what will align with the conservatives or Republicans. And in this case, so we're driving, always in the middle of America somewhere driving, and you guys know my husband Dave, who is a combat veteran. And I said, what's the problem with the admiral going back in for a second strike? If you didn't kill all of them as intended at first, why wouldn't you go finish the job? Are you guys cool if I bring him in? Because as a combat veteran, a former army officer,
I love it.
Understands this much more than just the emotional part of us saying, kill all the people who are trying to bring drugs in. Okay, can you explain this, Dave? Because it's important. Oh, wait, let me move this.
I also wore a green shirt so I could be different.
So we represent the military. You represent it.
Exactly. So when a commander gets an order, which is what happened when Trump gave the order to Hegseth to destroy and interdict terrorists and narco-terrorists, they pass that on to the admiral. And that's the way it works. The admiral then has a mission. His mission is to destroy the boat. If the boat is not destroyed, he can hit it as many times as he has to until he destroys it. That's legal. Yeah. There is a question in my mind about how soon the second strike happened. If it was an hour later and there's bodies trying to swim to a boat, that's a different story. It's actually a very different story. If the boat is still moving and there's people moving around the boat, you can hit that boat 16 times and it doesn't matter. The mission is destroy, interdict, prevent that boat from reaching the United States. And to that end, you can do whatever you want. So there is a question in my mind about where that is. It kind of brings you back to waterboarding and enhanced interrogation techniques. America always has to be on the right side of this stuff. And as Sage and I were talking about it, conservatives do a really good job of policing themselves and leading with facts. And liberals tend to not do that. They're really comfortable just using one example and conflating that into the next one. Right. And so I think it is important that we look at this and truly understand how quickly did the second strike happen, and was it part of the mission from the outset?
And that would put that responsibility on the admiral, though, right?
It would, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.